Well, good morning, guys. It is Clark from Ruoff Mortgage, and welcome to this week's version of Weekly Wednesday, a live version once again. Welcome back to that. And I just want to say, first of all, before anything, trust that you are staying safe and that your families are doing well. Everything is going okay, because that's the most important thing above all during these times. So we trust that's the case. So we just want to talk a little bit about what are things going to look like once the market, not only the market, but also your ability to be able to perform your business opens up again. And so what steps, what measures should you take now so that moving forward, you won't be behind the curve, as it were, right? We've been talking about, you hear a lot about flattening the curve. Well, we want to make sure that we are ahead of the curve when it comes to new business when things open up. I have a very strong suspicion that things will be opening up here. I would hope by the next announcement after the 15th. It doesn't make any sense for it to be any other way. Frankly, it doesn't make any sense for you not to be able to do what you need to do now, but that's, maybe a little bit one-sided in that opinion. But in any event, just want to do what we can to help position you moving forward and be able to operate, as it were, under the shadow of this coronavirus. So that's the topic for today. So we have a few points that I want to make sure that you note. And, if you want to take notes, and make sure that you take advantage of these steps so that you can be ready to go and hit the ground running, as opposed to having to gain momentum once things open up. You want to try to do everything you can now so that you just hit that moment in stride and you're ready to go. So first thing, let's talk about our pre-approvals. Okay. So people that you were working with maybe last fall or toward the end of the year that said, you know what, I want to wait until after the holidays to go ahead and look for a home. We've all heard that before, right? So I want to wait till after the holidays, so we'll do that. So Christmas passes, the end of the year, holidays, all the other holidays that are there. Then we have New Year's comes, and we come into January. And hopefully you're re-engaging with those people. And they say, yep, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for homes. Maybe set them up on a search and get things moving. Hadn't found anything, maybe because inventory was a little lighter right after the first of the year and so forth. And now here we are, and we find ourselves come March, and everything with this hits, and now we're shut down. Well, those same people who are interested in buying a home late last year, early this year, most likely are interested in still buying a house. So I would encourage you to re-engage with them and have them revisit their pre-approval, because during this time, guidelines with most lenders have really tightened up, especially with government loans. And so there are some that are requiring, minimum credit score of a 660. We've actually at one point went up to a 640, but we have since backed that down to a 620 on all of our government, which would be FHA, VA, USDA, those type of programs. For programs that are allowing down payment assistance like MSHDA, those have been suspended completely on the MSHDA side. So that's not available right now. But your normal FHA, VA, and USDA, our minimum credit score right now is 620. So that's a good thing. Other banks, lenders are requiring minimum 20% down and a 700 credit score. You've probably heard about that. That is unbelievable. So my point is, if you had a client that was pre-approved back in February, doesn't mean that they still qualify today. So make sure either A, you have them reach out to us and we reevaluate, or they circle back with the lender that they were previously using, if they can get in contact with them, if they're still in the business, if they're still operating, still functioning, because that's impacted some lenders. And make sure that pre-approval is still valid, because the last thing you want to do is have them get them under contract and find out, guess what, they don't qualify anymore because that lender has tightened their guidelines. So make sure now is the time when you can't physically show them a home. Now is the time you can re-engage with those clients and get them positioned so that they are ready. Which brings me as a perfect segue to the next topic. Okay. So one is re-engaging with those pre-approvals, having those being evaluated or reevaluated, right? Making sure that they are still pre-approved. Point number two is those clients that you've been talking to that haven't been pre-approved previously, that are talking about, you know what, as soon as everything opens up, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for homes. And I want you to put me on a search at that point, because my sense is that there will be more homes available and inventory is going to improve. And so I'll have more options, which I personally agree. And I'll tell you in a minute why. Well, the issue is if they wait until everything opens up to try to get approved, they are going to be behind the curve or the wave of people that are coming in to buy a home. So let me explain what I mean by that. If they wait, which a lot of buyers do, we all know this. What is the order that typically people do? They look online and they try to find a home. They say, hey, I'd like to see that house. Well, I can't see the house unless I am actually represented by an agent. So then they call you. Then they say, hey, I want to look at this house. Your first question should be, have you already been pre-approved? Typically, a lot of times they will soft sell and be like, oh yeah, sure. Yep, I got one of those online. And then at that point, then they realize once they're ready to buy the house, then they have to get a little more serious about this. And they find out that their pre-qualification or whatever they got online was worth the paper that it was printed on. So your first question should be, have you been pre-approved? If the answer is no, you need to talk to our preferred lender. That way you know exactly, we can give you the stamp of approval and you'll not be wasting time showing them homes when they don't qualify. Never before, and you've heard me say this before, you do not pay for things with your money, not in a commissioned sales position. You pay for things with your time. So if you have multiple buyers that are looking to buy homes and you're spending time with a buyer who cannot get approved because they're using a flimsy pre-approval or their pre-approval letter is no longer valid, you may miss out on an opportunity with a qualified buyer because you had to choose one over the other, because you can't be in two places at once. So make sure that you honor your time by insisting that your buyers are pre-approved prior to showing them homes, especially coming out of this. More important now than ever. Okay? So you have these buyers, once again, that are saying, I want to wait until everything opens up. I want it until there's more inventory. Let's wait. That's fine. It's going to be very normal for people to say that. So what I would encourage you to do is have them reach out to us now so they are positioned, so they are ready to go to jump on a house right away. As soon as they find the one they like, jump on it and not have to wait. Oh, wait, let me go ahead and get pre-approved. Let me go ahead and get all these things and send over documentation and do all this. Oh, that house is under contract. Because guess what? There are people that want to sell their homes too. Maybe they're either listed now or they're waiting, whatever it is, but they may need to sell it right away. And so they may take the first offer that comes in. Well, if your buyer is waiting, they looked at the house, they're waiting to get pre-approved. You know, some agents have the policy, I'll show you one for free and so forth. I know a lot of the agents that I work with, they do that. But now, in my opinion, take it for what it's worth, is not the time to do that. Because if you show them one for free and then they reach out and they call us and it may be a Friday night or they wait until Saturday or Sunday to call us, and for whatever reason, then all of a sudden there's a delay and they say, oh, we'll make an offer on Monday or Tuesday, that house is already under contract, gone, missed. Get them to get approved now. Second reason why that's important, so this would be kind of like part 2A or 2B, is because of the fact that they may need to address something with their credit. They may need to pay down a credit card. They may need to open an account. They may need to get something off their credit that is a derogatory, that's inaccurate or whatever. I had a client recently that had a late payment on a retail account, some type of department store or whatever. We were able to get that removed. Their credit score went up 75 points with one action. 75 points. A significant change, but that takes time. Guess what? What do we have right now? We have time. So now is the time to get those clients who are considering waiting to get engaged with us now, to get pre-approved. So if we have to address something, then we're ready to go. If we don't, no big deal. They sit there, their pre-approval letter is good for 60 days. It's not going to harm them to be pre-approved now. So there's no reason to wait in that space. revisit the pre-approvals you have already. The ones that are wanting to wait, get them pre-approved now so they're ahead of the curve. That's very important that you make sure that the clients are aware. They may say, oh, I'm good. My pre-approval is good. Make sure they know that things have changed. Okay? Very important. Now, why do I feel that things are going to open up in our state once we are allowed, you guys are allowed to reengage? We're still allowed, we're still considered essential. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know how I could be essential and agents not be. That makes no sense to me. Appraisers can still work, inspectors can still work. They can do so with proper social distancing and proper protocols. You guys should be, and as far as I'm concerned, are essential. There are people that do have to move right now. But once again, I probably am a bit slanted because of this, what we do is so closely related. We've been able to function this entire time. So as a company, Ruoff, we're actually headquartered in Fort Wayne. My office, of course, as all of you know, is in downtown Northville, but our company is headquartered in Fort Wayne, and we primarily are a Midwest company, which is one of the things I love about it. I can talk about that a different day. But just an example, the state of Indiana is agents are allowed to function there. And so the reason why I know that things are going to open up, and I have a very strong sense that things will, as soon as everything that we're allowed to, is because of the fact that, first of all, this is our spring buying season. Okay, so naturally it would tell us that that makes sense. Second of all, this is the time where people are wanting to, the reason why spring buying and summer is very heavy is because people are wanting to make that change because they're wanting to get into their home before school district changes and new districts, and people are getting married and all those different types of things, right? So the normal courses of life, people are graduating from colleges and they want to buy homes and things are changing. These are the normal paths as to why this is a big time of year for us. But the reason why I say that, even in the midst of something that none of us have experienced, and regardless of how long you've been in the business, none of us have experienced anything like this before. The reason why I feel like that things will open up is not just a sense or a feeling. It's because of the fact that our purchase numbers as a company have not diminished one bit, even though the state of Michigan is pretty much shut down in terms of purchase business. So a good portion of the business that Ruoff does in Michigan completely wiped off the table, except for a few here or there, right? Yet we as a company are still maintaining our purchase numbers across the board. So that tells me that there are the states where agents are still allowed to function properly and at full capacity. They are still closing transactions today. So that means when Michigan opens up, that's going to provide opportunity for us, which of course as a company is going to change our numbers, but I don't care about that. I'm talking about you and your business. You're going to have an influx of business coming in. There are still, I see brokers posting the word is escaping me, but charts where they're showing online saying, hey, we had this many listings, this many go pending, this many closes this month. There are still that businesses being transacted even right now, though it is diminished, of course, but there's still transactions that are going through now today. So that lets me know that, hey, when you're allowed to function to full capacity, of course things are going to open up. And people are going to have, the normal consumer is going to have more confidence. They want to be able to move. They've been cooped up. They want to be able to get into that different house. Maybe they need more space or whatever. So if they ever get quarantined ever again, they're going to have more space, right? So I can't wait to see the creative memes you guys are going to come up with when time comes to things are opening up here. So be thinking about that. But this is why I feel like not only I get a sense based on history, but also why I can tell empirically as a company, our numbers haven't diminished, why I have confidence that things are going to improve for all of us when things open up. So what's important? How can you make sure you can grab a hold of this business? If you're not re-engaging with those clients that you have pre-approved already, you're doing yourself and your family a disservice. If you're not re-engaging with the clients that you work with maybe 12 to 18 months ago, If you're not re-engaging with those, you had the client that said, I was looking for a house. They didn't find anything they liked based on whatever. And I talk about this all the time, but it's gold. Their fortune is in the follow-up, is an old saying in sales. If you're not following up with those clients, they will drop off and they will not remember who we are. They'll go online, they'll find a house, they'll see the listing agent, they'll click on them, be like, I don't have a connection. They'll click on them, and then that's your client that you could have helped walk them through that situation and that transaction, and they went to somebody else because we didn't stay engaged. Re-engage with those clients that you were talking to 12 and 18 months ago, maybe even 24 months ago, that said, you know what, we're going to sign another 12-month lease. We decided we're going to rent for another year or another 2 years or whatever it was. Hopefully you're keeping awesome records and keeping track and watching those clients. I do, every single one of them. And I'm re-engaging with my I'm doing all the things that I'm encouraging you to do. I am doing as well. I'm re-engaging with them. I'm making sure I stay in front of them so that when we get ready to go, we can jump right on it. So circling back with them, say, hey, I know that you decided that you wanted to rent for another year. Now here we are getting ready to, your lease is getting ready to expire in 60 days or whatever it is, whatever time frame you decide to look back. Let's get you pre-approved again. Let's take a look at buying a home and see if we can do the home of the dreams. I know it didn't work out before for whatever reason, but maybe we're in a different situation now. The last piece of information I want to talk to you about, and that is in the topic of forbearance. This is something I feel very passionately about. We've done 2 different videos on it already. So I would encourage you to take a look at those. Speaking of which, if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that and encourage your clients to do the same. We have over, I don't even know the number anymore, probably close to 70 videos now that go through, and most of them are very brief. They're not long. So it keeps people's attention, and it goes through, why should I get pre-approved? Every step in between to, hey, I just closed on my house. Now what do I do? They're very helpful for you as agents. They're very helpful for clients. And that what it does is it helps educate the client so that they are asking fewer questions. And the more educated your client is, the better the transaction is, the more smooth it will go. So with the topic of forbearance, there's a mindset out there right now that says this: I'm going to sell my house. These are for clients that already have a home right now, that are getting ready to sell that. They're going to list their home with you, and they're going to buy another home with you as well. Okay, this is an ideal client. But here's the situation. They're still working. They can still make their payments. But in their mind, they're saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to sell my home come whatever, whenever things get lifted up. Okay, I'm going to sell my house and list my house in June anyway. Why not have 2, 3, 4 months off of my mortgage and put it into forbearance? It doesn't hurt my credit. It's not going to harm me in any way. And then what happens is, just so you know, I'll cut right to the punchline. They do not qualify to buy a new home if their current mortgage is in forbearance. It's an automatic disqualifier. So if you have a client that has the ability to make their payments right now, and they're just choosing not to, they want to go into forbearance because they're going to sell their house anyway. And listen, I understand the rationale. I get it. In some ways, it makes a little bit of sense if it didn't harm you. But the reason why the rationale doesn't make sense is because it does harm them. So you have to make sure that you are connecting with all of those clients that said, hey, when this thing listed, I want you to list my home. And I know you have people that you're thinking about. Make sure they're making their mortgage payments, because they will disqualify themselves. So what's going to happen is they're going to list their house. And if you sell it quickly, like I suspect what's going to happen when things open up, they're going to be homeless because they don't qualify. How do they rectify that? I'm glad you asked. If they call up there and make it the forbearance whole, so let's say they skip 2 payments and their payment is $1,500 a month. They pay them $3,000 and bring it to current, and they say, please remove forbearance from my account. It's done. No problem. The issue is, are they going to be able to make that payment? Because did they spend it? Hopefully not, because they're trying to save for a house, but we know the behaviors of consumers sometimes not awesome. Perfect example. Walmart right now is sold out of TVs. You know why? Because a lot of people got $1,200 checks recently. Can't find a TV at most Walmarts. So my point is, we can't rely on the consumers to always make good choices financially when they're looking to buy a house. That's why we have a 10 do's and don'ts list that we have available for clients. That's why many of you have the same thing. All right, guys, I hope this was beneficial and helpful for you so that you can make sure you know exactly what you should do to position yourself to operate out from under the shadow of Corona. Guys, be safe, stay healthy, you and your families. If you need anything, do not hesitate to reach out. And as always, guys, choose a great day. We'll see you next time.